She's looking down at her hands when it starts, like she'd been thinking about this before the camera even came on. My cousin Harold, 71 years old, retired. Got his little house, his little garden, his little routine. And if you try to move one thing in that man's life, one thing, he will look at you like you just asked him to swim to Africa. We used to laugh at him, the family. We'd say, "That's just Harold." Harold had a stroke last year. Doctors said his blood pressure had been high for probably years. And you know what they also said? That his stress levels, the way he held everything tight, the way he fought every little change, that was a factor. That ain't just Harold no more. That's a warning. Now, I ain't up here to scare nobody, but I've been around long enough to watch certain things happen to certain people and start to see the pattern. And there are things, personality things, ways of being, that when you're young, they look like strength. They look like character. And when you get older, they turn on you. 3 of them. That's what I want to talk about today. The first one is stubbornness. And before anybody get defensive, because I see you, I am not talking about having standards. I am not talking about knowing your mind. That's different. I'm talking about the kind that calcifies, the kind that started as, "I know what I want," and somewhere between 50 and 70 became, "I will not hear anything that ain't what I already believe." Because here's what stubbornness does to an older body and an older mind that it didn't do when you was 40. It cuts off information, real information that you need. The man who won't go to the doctor because he don't trust all that. The woman who won't take the medication because her mother didn't take medication and her mother lived to be old. Baby, your mother also didn't have what you got. Stubbornness at 25 means you don't take nobody's mess. I respect that. Stubbornness at 70 means you might not find out something is wrong until it's too far gone to fix. That's not strength no more. That's just a door you nailed shut from the inside. Second one, and this one's harder to say because I recognize it in myself, and I don't fully like that. Bitterness. Not the sharp kind where you angry and you know you angry. I mean the kind that settled in so quiet you stopped calling it bitterness. You just call it knowing how people are. You call it, "I've been through enough to know." You call it being realistic. But what it actually is, and I had to sit with this, what it actually is you decided somewhere along the way that the story is mostly over and mostly disappointing, and you stop letting new evidence in. And the body knows when you feel that way. It responds to it. Your nervous system don't know the difference between being in danger and believing the world is dangerous. It just stays in that state, tight, defended, waiting. And that state, chronic, low-grade, "I've been hurt before" tension, that does real damage over time. To your heart, to your immune system, to how fast your mind starts to slow. I watched a woman at my church, sharp as a tack, funny, had lived, just get smaller. Over about 5, 6 years. Not her body, her. Like she folded inward. And the bitterness was the reason. Every new person was a potential disappointment. Every good thing had a but behind it. She's still alive, but she ain't really reachable no more. That scared me more than anything. Third one, silence. Not the peaceful kind, not meditation, not prayer, not sitting with yourself in a good way. I mean the personality trait of keeping things in, of being the one who handles it, of being raised to not burden people and taking that so far into yourself that you stopped even knowing when you needed something. Because that one gets rewarded for so long. You the strong one. You the one everybody calls. You hold it together at the funeral. You hold it together when the money was short. You hold it together so good for so long that everybody around you genuinely believes you don't need nothing. And then they stop asking. And then you stop expecting them to ask. And then you in your late 60s, early 70s, and something is wrong, really wrong. Could be physical, could be your mind, could just be that you ain't okay, and you don't say it. Because you never learned how, because saying it felt like losing. Now, here's the thing I want to make sure I say before I'm done. These things didn't come from nowhere bad in you. The stubbornness came from surviving situations where softness would have cost you. The bitterness came from real losses, real disappointments, real people who did real things. The silence came from loving other people enough to carry things they didn't have to. You didn't pick up bad traits. You picked up survival tools and just kept carrying them past the time they was helping you. That's not a character flaw. That's just something to look at, to decide on. My grandmother had a saying. She said, what kept you alive in the storm will drown you in the calm if you don't know how to put it down. She was talking about something else entirely when she said it, but I think about it a lot these days. A lot. All right, that's enough for today.